If you're watching this, that means I am unfortunately still alive.
So what the fuck happened, and where have I been the past year? As some of you might know, about 2 years ago, I lost my job. Sorta, kinda. And I spent the next year and a half trying to get a YouTube channel off the ground. This YouTube channel, a channel about how to get your shit together, hosted by a guy whose shit is not together like at all. But then in December, I kinda disappeared. And the reason for this is actually the subject of today's video, in the sense that I have come to a conclusion. And that conclusion is that I can only do one thing at a time. 3, actually. Let me explain. I gambled on this YouTube channel thing. I took a chance, I took a risk to try and get a YouTube channel off the ground while having a deadline. Because, I was living off savings and unemployment and such, and trying to get this thing to work, but it didn't. But it did. See, this never generated any money, and 0 money is not enough to survive. And when savings ran out, well, that was my deadline. It didn't pan out, so I had to stop. So in December of last year, about a year ago, I had to start looking for an actual job, something that would allow me to survive. You gotta pay to live in this world. But here's the other thing. The YouTube channel didn't quite work, but it did, in the sense that I got 2 huge things out of it. Number 1, I got a level of connection with people. Now, this is not a big channel. I am not like an internet micro celebrity. I'm not. I have very few followers, but let's be clear. I tried this for less than a year, and I managed to get, like 600 subscribers and some comments on my videos? That's huge, that's great. I barely break 300 views. But it doesn't matter because, what was it, about 4 months ago, I got an email from somebody saying that this channel was one of their favorite channels and that I shouldn't stop. She asked me not to quit. I didn't want to quit. But that email stirred something within me, because that right there, that was a connection. That was someone going the extra mile to create a new email, type out those words, and hit send. That is effort. And that effort shows to me that the stuff I've said has had some impact. And that is humbling. It has been flattering to experience, to have somebody go like, hey, I like listening to you talk. There hasn't been a day since that email that I have stopped thinking about it. The first heartbeats of a community. So that's the first thing that I got out of this whole YouTube channel experiment. The second thing that I got is a bit more pragmatic. It was the ability to do the work, the recognition of the ability to do the work. Part of the YouTube channel, part of the marketing push that I did last year, was to prove myself that I could be consistent and that I could create a schedule that would demonstrate, that would prove to me that I am not lazy, that I am not a procrastinator, that I can actually get stuff done, and that I can have a structure that could work for these things. So what, I missed a couple of videos, more than a couple maybe, but for the most part, I was able to push 1 video per week, every week last year. And I should pat myself in the back for that. I need to say, golly, I did an amazing job. And I think I should give myself a little credit for being able to put those teachings, those things that I was talking to you about in those videos, in practice, to be able to consistently produce something, consistently push out a video every week. And I did it. And it taught me that. That YouTube thing taught me that. It taught me that I could. But it also taught me that I can only do one thing at a time. So here's the thing. I am sparse. Like, my mind goes in 1,000 different directions, right? Sort of like yours. That's why you found this channel. I want to write a book, and I want to make music, and I want to draw comics, and I want to develop a video game. And I got all these side projects. And I thought that if I just tried this thing called time blocking, if I was like, okay, today I'm going to spend 2 hours writing, I don't know, 500 words for my novel, then that's 2 hours well spent. And then I can do 2 hours of something different, like, I don't know, learn how to play the piano. So I spend 2 hours doing that. And if you time block your day efficiently, then you can get all of these things done on the same day, because if you don't do everything you want to do, then you are a failure as a human being and you should probably move to a farm upstate. That's the internal monologue that I used to have. And this time blocking thing is tiring, but it's also impossible. It's not productive. See, part of the creative process, and I don't care if your area of creativity is writing or making movies or making music or businesses and startups and technology, it doesn't matter. For most people, for people like us, we need to be able to concentrate on one thing and one thing alone. See, here's an example. Before, when I had 15,000 different interests and I would take a shower, right? Shower thoughts, I would spend that time thinking like, okay, so today I might do a little writing and I might do a little guitar playing and I might do a little coding, and then, just push your projects 1% forward and eventually everything will work out. But I wasn't considering the single most important part of the creative process, the productive process. Walking around, fucking around, and thinking. Sometimes you just gotta faff about. If you're writing a novel, take a walk and you think this character is doing this thing and this other character is doing this other thing, and how do I get them in conflict? How do they solve this conflict? It's the thinking, right? You don't have to be writing to actually be writing. You know what I mean? When you're in the business of, business, you take a walk and you start thinking like, I'm trying to sell this solution to this one person, but they're being difficult, and this is how I'm probably going to address it next time. You think about it and you solve it in your head. You have to do something that distracts you so you can get into the zone. And if you have 15 different things that you're thinking of, then you're handicapping that process, because you're doing the easy part, the putting pen to paper part. That's the easy part. But you're not doing the thinking process, which is the difficult part. That's how do I solve this problem part. So I stopped the videos because I realized that for the next few months, until I had a job, my personality had to be job seeker. Not job seeker and YouTuber, not job seeker and YouTuber and novelist, just one hat. And that job seeker has allowed me to be able to improve my CV, improve my cover letters, my research of companies, the products that they offer, and be like, yes, this is a company that I would like to work for. Here's my cover letter, here's why I'm interested to work for you. And it produced results slower than I would have liked, because the job market in France and the US and everywhere really is ass. But it did finally work. And I've been at this new job for about 6 months. And it's good. At the end of the month, I get a deposit and it's stabilizing. I can come back home, hug my dog, take him for a walk, knowing that when we come back, I can afford the fancy food that he likes. I can only do one thing at a time. Let me explain a little further. It's actually 3 things, like I mentioned before. So you have 3 things you can do at any one time. 1 major one, and 2 important ones that support that. Okay? So you got, for example, your job to be your main project. But the other 2 have to be survival related. So the first one is eating good food, getting exercise, walking the dog, cooking your meals, cleaning up your house, making your bed, stuff like that. Going to bed at a decent time. It's the survival part, and it takes a lot of mental energy to focus on that, to think about that, to learn how to create a habit of, it's 11:30, I should probably turn off my phone and go to bed. So that's one of the blocks. The other major block that supports this big block is what I call play. And it includes socializing. So for me, I like to stay home. I do like to stay home. I love my house. I love hanging out with my dog. I love hanging out by myself in this house. Watch my movies, play my video games, and just, have my own space. Be me here. It's just part of who I am. But I treat that as play. If I turn on my Xbox and I start playing FIFA or whatever, that is part of the play block that enhances my life, that supports my life. So if this is an important support block in my life, then now I can turn on my console, play a little video game, and not feel guilty about it. What a concept. And by 11:30 p.m., I just go to bed so that I'm not tired the next morning for the one critical block. And the other part of play is also play but with other people. So socializing, calling a friend, going out with them, having coffee, having a drink, having sex, going to a movie, going to a concert, going for a walk. I don't know. Everybody's exhausted, man. Everybody's tired. Everybody's depressed. Everybody's isolated. So sometimes, most of the times these days, you have to make that first step. Text somebody, call somebody, and you can't take it personally. People will say no. People are tired. People have plans. People don't want to see you. It's fine. Call somebody else, text somebody else. But I can't stress enough the importance of having that socializing aspect in your life. So you have these two major blocks, right? Survival and play, helping you out. And on top of that, you place the one critical thing, the single most important thing that you're doing. For me, right now, that is work. And that involves me researching how to best do my job, figuring out the next step in my career, figuring out what I can learn from the people above me. What's the next step? And this is the fucking around part that I'm talking about. So now I get in the shower or I walk the dog, right? And I'm thinking, how do I perform at work better? How do I improve my craft? Listen, I spent years, I'm 47 now, I spent years of my life fighting against this idea of needing to work, needing a 9 to 5, having to be an employee, having to provide shareholder value. I spent years fighting that, and it has hamstrung me when it comes to an actual career. So now I'm thinking of it as this one critical thing, this one very important project that I get to do in my life. So as part of this whole example, I had to stop the YouTube videos because I don't have the time to fuck around and be like, what do I want to talk about this week? And then it comes, with a bunch of other things. The YouTube push I did last year came with shorts and reels and TikTok and the newsletter, and it was a whole bunch of things that I no longer have the time or the energy for. Today's video is mostly just because I figured I have a little time today, a little energy, and I was like, I think I could talk about this, the 3 blocks, the 3 building blocks of your life. But I can't make this the most important thing. So I don't know when the next video is going to drop. But for today, this is it. And also, I don't want to do the full marketing thing, the full influencer package. So I'm not doing reels, I'm not doing TikToks, I'm not doing short form content, I'm not doing anything. I just want to push this video out. I might do a thumbnail. I don't know. I'm not even following the YouTube approved video structure for engagement where you have to hook people in the first 10 seconds and then give them the answer in the last minute. I no longer care. This is just a conversation I'm having with you. If you want to have this conversation, great. If not, I'm aware there's a million other things you could be doing. So that's where I've been. And that's what I recommend you do in your life. This is me telling you what to do. Think about these 3 blocks. The first one, survival, small block. Household chores, cleanup, exercise, food, good food, meals, sleep, and spend time with your pet. Second block, play. Make sure you go places. Make sure you go see an expo. Enjoy your hobbies. Go grab coffee. Go to a restaurant they just opened down the street. Go somewhere. Call a friend. If they can't make it, fine. Go by yourself or call another friend. It is very difficult to do, but it is important. And then on top of these 2 blocks, plays only one thing. Now, I am not saying that you cannot do other things like a side project or whatever. What I am saying is that you need to make sure your fucking around time is dedicated to the one thing you want to get to work this year. Make sure that for the next year or so, that's the only thing you are. Either your job or your creative side project. If you want to be a musician, then that's what you do, and you forget about everything else. If you can't do that, then make sure that a job, your work, is the most important one. Make sure that you are stable. Make sure that you're not freaking out where your next paycheck is coming from. That is stabilizing. take it from me. I do struggle with the fact that my life seems to basically just creating shareholder value lately. I'm not in love with that. But I don't have the neurotypical capacity to context switch at will so that I can do everything at once. I have to do one thing, and I have to do one thing right. And right now, for me, that's my job. This video, it's a one-off. I just wanted to do one more just to see if I could. Once again, this is just a conversation. We're just having a conversation, you and I. Will anyone want to keep this conversation going? I don't know. Post something in the comments. Ask questions. Challenge me and what I just said. You know, just don't just take my word for granted. And let's talk. I'm glad to be back, even though I'm not really. I guess. I don't know. See you around.